What's up, ladies and gentlemen? So, first things first, we've got a huge patch incoming. The PTR is available. And before I even get started on these notes, because you know it's going to be a long one, just want to say I was in the hospital for like the last week. So, I'm okay. I'm out now. And, it's back to the grind, back to work. So, this is pretty late, and I'm usually like right on top of these updates. I just want to apologize. Had some, personal stuff going on, but everything's good now. And you will start receiving more updates in a more timely fashion, if you will. So we've got a huge update, guys. Super excited. So let's get right into it. And you might want to wait and watch this video or listen to it on your way home from work, on your lunch, because it's going to be a long one. So we are going to introduce the Summer Medleyfaire event game update. So this is going to be our big, July update. So I'm going to have the link for this and the actual official notes from the PTR in the description. So if you want to read through it yourself, there's a lot of information in here. It'll be in the description. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So of course, this is from our favorite 𝙏𝙤𝙢𝙦. So we've got spotlight features and major updates, and folks, I'm going to read through this whole thing, and it's going to take a minute. There's a lot of stuff here and a lot of good stuff. So, Summer Medleyfaire event. Amidst the tragedy and violence of 𝙏𝙤𝙢𝙢, a Medleyfaire maestro has declared it's time to party away your woes. So, summer villages have been erected in Brightwood, Everfall, Weaver's Fen, and Monarch's Bluffs. Raise your reputation with the maestro through quests, catching fish like the famed 𝙏𝙤𝙢𝙢 sturgeon with maudlin bugs, and more to net special holiday rewards. You can even frame your favorite catches for your home at new Mount a Catch stations found in every village. Come let loose and celebrate life on the island of eternal life. This actually sounds really cool. I was just talking about, a way to like keep track of your fish and the different sizes and, stuff like that. So that's actually pretty cool. Musical instruments. So musical instruments are a rhythm action based trade skill coming to 𝙏𝙤𝙢𝙢 that make the world a stage. There are 5 instruments for players to pick up and learn, plus an initial 31 songs to collect and master. You can play solo or as a group with up to 5 adventurers. These musical instruments include the guitar, the mandolin, the upright bass, drums, and the Azoth flute. Songs are unlocked by salvaging pages hidden throughout 𝙏𝙤𝙢𝙢. Complete the Summer Medleyfaire quest to earn a special set of pages and starter instruments. Better instruments can be crafted through the furnishing trade skill, which is really cool, and furnishing can also roll new music trade skill specific perks. Press the F5 key to initiate a performance. Each one will reward players with trade skill XP and various buffs. So better performances receive stronger buffs and more trade skill experience. Spectators enjoying the show will also receive a buff and can toss a coin to the performers as a tip. More buffs unlock as your trade skill XP increases, and the buffs in order of progression are decidedly dexterous, which will increase your gathering speed by 75% for 30 to 90 minutes. Territorial Triumph, territory standing bonus increases by 10 to 30% for 30 to 90 minutes. Altogether now, group character XP sharing bonus increases by 4 to 15% for 30 to 90 minutes. Song in your Step, reduce player encumbrance by 200 to 1,000 for 30 to 90 minutes. Fortune's Favor, so gathering yield increases by 3 to 10% for 30 to 90 minutes. And lastly, Luck's Labor, so your gathering luck increases by 2 to 5% for 30 to 90 minutes. So awesome stuff. So the new expedition, Barnacles and Black Powder. Man, we've been waiting a long time for this. So we're going to go ahead and read this. A dark tide rises in 𝙏𝙤𝙢𝙢 with the arrival of Admiral Blackpowder and his dastardly crew. Quest givers in the Cutlass Keys settlement and the new docks on the territory's eastern shore will be looking to offer you loot and renown for defeating the despicable evil within the new Barnacles and Black Powder expedition. Rumors suggest there might be an even greater power within the Admiral's hold, not to mention more than meets the eye, as with most things in 𝙏𝙤𝙢𝙢, of course. Barnacles and Black Powder is an endgame expedition. The entrance can be found at the small docks in southeast Cutlass Keys. Expedition Mutators. Barnacles and Black Powder will be mutated 2 weeks after it is released into the live game, and there's going to be 3 new mutations also. You're going to get Icebound, which is a mutation that focuses on ice elemental effects related to incoming and outgoing damage, and it can also apply slow status effects. Oppressive, a promotion set that includes mana drains and zones of silence, which prevent ability usage for a short period of time. And Frenzied, this variant applies curses to players that dodge. So curses stack and deal damage over time. Max stacks also damage nearby allies. Expedition Enhancements. New quality of life features have been introduced to alleviate some points of friction for our expedition explorers. So can't wait to see what those are. Expedition Group Finder. Yes. As long as you're in the same world. Finding a group to run expeditions with while solo isn't always easy when you need to ask through chat. So we are excited to release our first version of the Group Finder tool for expeditions. With this feature, you'll be able to access a specific group finder for each expedition, accessed through Expedition Entrance UI or related expedition map icons. So you can browse listings created by other players or post your own requests. The tool allows players to declare their preferred team roles, such as DPS, tank, or heals, and recruit based on those roles. You can also set minimum gear score and level, then inspect the members to learn their average gear score, weapons, and mastery levels, which is amazing. Expedition Tuning Orb removal. So this is another huge update. So in this update, we've removed Expedition Tuning Orbs and replaced them with daily limits for normal and weekly mutated expedition runs to make all expeditions easier to access. This new system features 15 normal expedition runs per player per day, or 105 per week per player. And we're also going to get 25 mutated expedition runs per week. For concerned players, this is how we plan on introducing it after the PTR. So in order to honor the value you've put into acquiring existing tuning orbs, and this is a big one, guys, any orbs in your inventory upon the update will be replaced with caches that give loot appropriate for their expedition. So you won't get all a full run's worth of coin and drops, and the rolls will include boss drops for weapons and armor in addition to opportunities for expertise bumps. So it's not going to be like the same amount of loot you'd get if you ran a whole expedition, but in my opinion, and what I'm going to be doing is cranking out those mutated tuning orbs and just get a stack of them. So you get a stack of caches and basically a stack of a bunch of gear. So pretty cool. So for normal expeditions, caches will reward a roll from the sub boss and main boss found in that specific expedition, and grant coin equal to 50% the cost previously associated with buying that specific type of orb from the faction shop. For mutated expeditions, caches will reward 4 boss rolls off the final boss of 4 eligible mutators, and coin equal to 50% the cost previously associated with buying that specific type of orb from the faction shop. And more details can be found below, so let's take a look at that. So loot rebalance. With the accessibility changes to expeditions, we've moved roughly 80% of coin generated from expedition bosses and have instead spread it out to coin drops from elite chests and darkness breaches completion bonuses to help compensate for the reduction. Twice a day, players can loot elite chests in the open world or complete minor or major darkness breaches to earn a bag of coins. Each bag contains 500 coins. Along with that, we have introduced a new method to help the player overcome the randomness of expedition loot. Materia. Oh, for all you Final Fantasy folks, Materia is a new type of resource. Materia that can be used to craft your desired drop. There are 2 ways to obtain this resources. So any named item obtained from an expedition can now be salvaged into materia of its corresponding expedition type, like Amrine materia, Depths materia, etc. The player will also receive materia when defeating the main boss of an expedition. So that is really exciting. Mutator loot shift. We've shifted the difficulty levels at which loot unlocks. The system will originally... So the system was originally intended to give players a sense of rewarding progression as they play through the different difficulty levels, which it did accomplish, but the lower levels didn't feel particularly good due to sparse rewards. So we've therefore changed what items unlock at which difficulty level, which should result in a wider variety of lower level rewards. No loot has been removed as specific items have shifted to unlock at different brackets and in certain groups. We've also added another accessory to each mutator. Previously, each mutator dropped 2 of the 3 types of accessories. Now every mutator can drop all available types. So they've introduced instance wars. So previously, while one or more wars were ongoing, server performance could become degraded. This could result in latency spikes for players in the war and surrounding areas of Aeterna. We have re-architected the underlying technology for wars and are happy to report that wars should no longer pose risk of such a drastic negative performance impact to participants nor the world around them. Loot, perks, and trade skills. Note that all tuning values on the PTR are still in flux and may change before retail release into the live game. Please experiment, have fun, and send us your feedback. So make sure you guys get on the PTR action and check some of the stuff out. Let them know what's going on, what you guys like, what you don't like, and they will, change as you've seen, previously. They will listen and they will change the game according to, what we like, what we want. Perk rebalance. So we have examined the meta and its issues impacting endgame viability. With this update, we adjusted over 150 perks to help make them more useful and competitive compared to the best perks in the game, period. Skill-specific weapon perks are now more powerful, with some receiving substantial rework to be more viable. For example, we buffed the durability perk and renamed it to Indestructible because players will no longer take durability damage when it's equipped. We have also tweaked how perks are calculated in order to provide players with more options for better perk combinations. For example, the trade skill drop chance on earrings now has a very low drop chance on drops to increase the combat focused perks players get from earrings. These perks can still be controlled via crafting using their specific craft mods to make specific items. Dual stat change. So we heard a little bit of info about this on the on the discussion, but in order to improve the quality of crafted and looted items, we've made some changes to dual stat attribute combinations. We've changed the scaling of the primary stat to scale higher, giving these stats larger impact. We've also made a number of changes to the 50 threshold bonuses to encourage more stat splitting across all builds. This is a very experimental change, and we are looking for feedback through the PTR to evaluate the balance and impact of these changes before going live. Loot quality. The overall quality of drops has been improved based on player/expertise level. That means at level 60, players should earn more epic and rare loot than uncommon loot. The epic and legendary loot also have a higher chance of receiving more viable stat combinations. Example, increased chances for Keen, lower chances for Beastbane. Perks that roll are all still random for non-named items, but players should see better combinations of perks overall. We've also improved the chances that higher gear score items can drop from lower level creatures, given a small chance that 600 gear score items can come from level 59 plus. There's also going to be bonus loot drops. So the loot players rolled from Gypsum casts were not very rewarding, so we improved the likelihood that you'll roll epic and rare loot. We've also increased the range at which expertise can be gained off these rolls. Perfect salvage. So we heard the feedback and recognized that salvage became much less interesting at endgame. With this update, we made salvaging more rewarding through the introduction of perfect salvages. Whenever you salvage an item, you will now have a chance to perform a perfect salvage. Perfect salvages can reward players with the following. So you can get research materials such as weapon scraps that can be used to gain crafting trade skill experience. Special orbs that can be converted into gypsum casts, which bypass the normal daily limit. Materials to fabricate special items and other valuable resources. Trade skill changes. So improvements to trade skills are being made to reduce friction and speed up leveling for many gathering, refining, and crafting trade skills. So for gathering, they reduce the logging experience required to level from 1 to 50 by 15%, reduce the logging XP required to level from 51 to 200 by 20%, and they reduce the fishing XP required to level from 1 to 200 by 50%. So fishing is going to get a big boost. Refining. We're removing tiers from reagents, so like tannins, fluxes, sandpapers, weaves, and solvents. Our goal is to simplify these to a single tier, giving them the potency of tier 5 reagents to help players progress trade skills more efficiently and reduce the friction of converting reagents. Plus, removing the confusion around what tier of reagent to apply when crafting. So they reduce the leatherworking XP required to level from 1 to 200 by 10%, reduce smelting XP required to level from 1 to 200 by 10%, reduced weaving experience required to level from 1 to 200 by 15%, reduced woodworking XP required to level from 1 to 200 by 15%, and reduced stone cutting XP required to level from 1 to 200 by 20%. And just a side note here, stone cutting's probably going to get a rework. I think it's coming because, you know, we really are taking a hit to stone cutting without having tuning orbs. So we'll see what they do there. For crafting, they're improving the trade skill XP on tier 4 and tier 5 crafted items for all skills. Reduce furnishing XP required to level from 1 to 200 by 20%. And reducing the trade skill XP required for weaponsmithing and furnishing for levels 1 to 200, but that's not in this build yet. Crafting, gathering, and refining clothing. So we've rebalanced the drop rates, the drop chance, and locations of all trade skill clothing to better improve their availability. So I'm just going to read this side note. Please note that this list is not all encompassing and is intended as an early look into a number of changes included within the most recent PTR build. This change list will be regularly updated up through retail release of the game version. So for combat and AI, some general changes. They adjusted healing flyout numbers to no longer be limited to if the healing is greater than 5% of your HP. They are now manually set based on what is preferred. They set all persistent healing status effects that are either small ticks of healing or inactive healing to not show healing number flyouts. Health display will no longer show 0 if player is still alive. Increase the number of decimal places shown in a weapon's critical damage multiplier tooltip so the Fire Staff and Blunderbuss can display their correct multipliers. Reduce stamina damage increases from the 150 strength attribute bonus from 50% down to 25%, and also limited the attribute points to only apply to light attacks. Updated the 200 constitution attribute bonus to help to also increase elemental armor by 10%, now increases physical and elemental armor by 10%. Updated tooltip for the 250 dex attribute bonus to indicate that it only triggers on random critical hits. Removed 1 second mana regen delay that triggers when mana is consumed. Removed stamina regeneration while in a jump. Allowed stamina regeneration when rolling after landing from a jump. Made several updates to the revive animation. Does not apply to reviving a down player inside of a duel. Added invulnerability frames while a player is standing up after being revived to help prevent them from being killed before they have control of their character. Fixed an issue where the cancel window was not functioning properly, so players were stuck in the animation longer than intended. Reduced the recovery cancel window from 45 frames to 30 frames. Previously, this did not function properly and would only allow a player to transition out after the animation was complete at around 50 to 60 frames. Updated descriptions for several weapon abilities to specify that they grant crit, or grit rather. So Blunderbuss Blast Shot, Great Axe Maelstrom, no reprieve upgrade, Sword and Shield Defiant Stance, Shield Bash, and Shield Rush, and Warhammer Clear Out, Shockwave, and Wrecking Ball. Notable fixes. So they fixed a bug where projectiles may sometimes land behind the player. Fixed an issue where if a player stood in place after dodging while a reload was pending for the musket and blunderbuss, there would be an additional delay before the reload started again. Fix an issue when transitioning from prone to stand while moving forward would play the incorrect weapon run animation. Fix an issue where certain attacks could trigger the paranoia effect on the attacking AI when blocking with specific weapons. Fix an issue where players could respec Berserk and Ice Gauntlet while active, resulting in the cooldowns being permanently stuck for on the player. Activating these two abilities will now trigger the combat state to prevent respecs. Fix an issue where various abilities that spawned an entity, not scaling gem perk, and other status effect damage properly if the damage was triggered via the entity, like Sticking Bomb, Azoth Shrapnel Blast, etc. Fix an issue with stuns not being removed on hit taken from various player attacks like flamethrower, wind chill, etc. Fix desyncs that could occur after getting stunned. Fix an issue with animation pausing when sheathing sword and shield while starting to run. Fix an issue where luck bonuses were being applied from inactive weapons. Fixed a rare issue where sometimes magic spell effects would appear to jump around on the ground. And fixed an issue that caused players to stop moving if they ran into a loot bag while their inventory was open. So some perk changes. Fixed shirking and power, not properly refreshing when reapplied and being improperly labeled as a debuff instead of a buff. Fixed a bug where status effect reduction perks would not activate properly with multiple perks like freedom, vigor, and invigorated. Fixed a bug where status effect reduction perks would not activate properly with multiple. Okay, so they fixed that. That's good. Fix an issue where generic weapon perks could trigger while using the finger guns emote. Fix an issue that allowed the duplicating toast perk prevented the topaz gypsum attunement potion from being consumed. Fix an issue where the mortal empowerment perk was being removed while traversing the open world. Fixed an issue where the mortal empowerment perk was not triggering properly when loading into game modes such as 3v3 arenas or OPR. Fixed an issue where the sturdy energy perk can be applied and remain active while the player was exhausted, and updated tooltip to describe intended functionality. Fixed an issue where the vicious perk was not applying properly to headshots. Fix an issue with the evasive perk not reporting accurate information in the status effect tooltip and flyout. Fix an issue with the shirking energy perk being able to be placed on heavy leg armor, resulting in the perk not being able to function. Replace the shirking energy perk on all existing heavy leg armor with the flame conditioning armor perk instead due to the above bug correction. Updated description of the resupplying mortar charge perk to specify that it will not activate after the final mortar shot is fired. Updated description of the following perks to specify that they do not trigger on blocked hits. So that includes refreshing ward, stamina recovery, mana recovery, purity, fortified recovery, siphoning, and siphoning blow. They updated the description of arboreal attunement to specify that it does not increase the damage of persistent or damage over time effects. Fixed a typo with the steel great axe charm perk. Fixed an issue where several buffs were not properly labeled, resulting in them not properly triggering the damage increase for the invigorating punishment perk. So as far as weapons, on the blunderbuss specifically, they fixed an issue where activating and deactivating mortar charge without firing a shot would trigger the unload ultimate. It will now only trigger the unload ultimate upon exiting mortar charge after firing a shot, and fixed a text issue with the buff applied by unload the ultimate. For the bow, they added a cancel window to the rapid shot ability to allow users to dodge cancel out of the ability after the first shot as long as they are not actively firing the subsequent shots. Added ability for players to zoom in the camera when using the rapid shot and explosive arrow abilities. Fix an issue that would prevent dodge canceling while reloading if you're aiming down sights. Fix an issue where bow would leave ADS while rapidly shooting in settlements. Fix an issue where archer's speed passive effect was not being removed when the bow was sheathed. Fix an issue where rapid shot and explosive arrow abilities had too long of a duration between the cooldown when the cooldown was triggered and the active frame started. Reduce poison shots direct hit passive damage from 150 to 100%, so big nerf there. Removed stagger from penetrating shot, another huge nerf. And the splinter shot ability has had a complete rework and is now explosive arrow. So explosive arrow is fire an arrow that will explode on impact, dealing 50% weapon damage on hit and an additional 125% damage to all targets within a 2.5 meter radius. So pretty cool. Flame arrow, the direct explosive arrow hits inflict burn, dealing 8% weapon damage every second for 10 seconds. Contained detonation, explosive damage increased to 150% damage, but AoE radius is decreased to 1.5 meters. I really like that. And updated the empowering splinter shot perk text to state empowering explosive arrow functionality for the perk remains the same. Fire staff. So they fixed an issue where the efficient burnout perk was triggering even if the burnout ability was interrupted. Increased initial impact of meteor shower from 34% to 75%. Holy crap. Description updated to clarify 0.75 seconds tick rate. And Judgment of Helios increased damage from 30 to 40%. Great Axe, they fixed an issue where the charge ability would detect targets behind the player and trigger the auto attack. Fix an issue where Insatiable Gravity Well was dealing the incorrect damage type. Fix an issue where Mauler's Fury, which is the ultimate, was not triggering properly if a player had a slash damage perk on a ring. Fix an issue where the passive Gravity Well tooltip had unused space at the bottom of the window, and Gravity Well now pulls down players to the center of the ability upon cast. So, oh my gosh, Hatchet had a bunch of stuff. So, fix an issue where Hatchet light attacks were sometimes causing desyncs, extended the subsequent Hatchet light attack hitboxes to make them more in line with the first hit to make the light attack chain more consistent. Fix the Infected Throw Mortal Power tooltip showing incorrect values. Made a number of Hatchet throwing skill tree updates. So, in general, allowed all throws to no longer need a passive unlocked to be able to crit. Slightly reduced block damage on all thrown attacks, adjusted placement of the hatchets as they are thrown to be more in line with the player character and reticle. Rending Throw increased base damage from 110% to 120%. Targeted Impact upgrade, so they updated functionality to extend the duration of the rend by 4 seconds instead of increasing power. Decreased the distance required to trigger from 8 meters to 6 meters. And Social Distancing, they increased dodge back distance, added a stagger to distancing throw, reduced damage from 130 down to 100%, slightly increased iframes during backwards dodge, updated tooltip to indicate the ability had invulnerability frames, and increased base slow effectiveness from 15% for 3 seconds to 25% for 5 seconds. Quick Power upgrade, adjusted values from 30% for 3 seconds to 20% for 6 seconds. Stay Back upgrade, improved or updated functionality to root players for 1 second if the target is further than 6 meters away. Infected Throw, they sped up the Infected Throw attack animation, increased damage from 150 to 165%, and increased the speed of the thrown projectile. Mortal Power, they increased HP requirement to trigger from 30 to 50%. Aim Throw, updated to not interfere with movement when throwing. Increase movement speed while aiming from 1.65 to 2.25, also what the throw move speed is. Improved cancel windows when transitioning from throw into abilities to match standard light attack cancels 3 frames after throw fragment starts. Increased damage from 95% to 100%, and remove stamina cost of throws, and increase the speed of the thrown projectile. So passives, the Critical Throws passive, so updated it so all throws can perform crits by default. This passive is no longer required. Updated passive to grant a 5% crit chance on all melee attacks and 10% crit chance on all ranged attacks. On Fire no longer requires Critical Throw to unlock. Rejuvenating crits no longer requires Critical Throw to unlock. Exploitation, reduced damage bonus from passive from 15% to 10%. Boot and Rally renamed to Hurling Force. Reworked to increase damage of all throws based on how far away the target is from the player, up to a max of 20% damage at 20 meters and beyond. Persistent Hindrance, reduced debuff extension time from 30% to 20%, updated to also deal 3% additional damage per debuff on the target up to a max of 4 debuffs. And Adrenaline Rush now triggers off a hit with an ability instead of an ability activation. So some Icegaunt changes, added a 1 second cooldown to Pylon Dodge upgrade, allowed sprinting when afflicted with Frostbite, fixed an issue where Ultimate Chill would not trigger when a target was hit with the Wind Chill or Ice Shower ability, fixed an issue where gaining haste bonuses would result in Wind Chill being cancelled early due to transitioning to a sprint, fixed an issue where Pylon consumed mana if it didn't spawn on cast, fixed an issue where some damage over time effects were triggering the Frozen Touch passive, and fixed a typo in the description of Ice Shower. Life Staff, oh, this is sad. This is so sad. Only 3 fixes. Well, let's see what they are. So fix an issue where dodging would not cancel casting Light's Embrace and Divine Embrace. Fix an issue where other hotkeys could be assigned to targeted healing hotkeys, and fix an issue where the Protector's Strength passive was not showing the correct value. The displayed value was showing as 10% in the tooltip, but its functionality was actually 20%. So life staff got literally no love, except maybe this dodge cancel. Musket, fix an issue discrepancy where fix a visual discrepancy bug where impact effects for the musket may play on the client even if the server invalidated the client's shot. Fix an issue with shooter stance camera not getting reset correctly when entering an arena. Fix an incorrect idle animation when the character was exhausted. Fix an issue with the shoot action installing earlier than intended after a reload. Fix an issue where shots were firing too soon when entering shooting stance from a dodge. And updated musket reload to not have to play through the first half of the reload if the reload was interrupted after that portion of the animation played. And after being interrupted and completing the first half of a reload, only the second half of reload animation will need to play. Rapier, fix an issue with repost, taunts duration not matching the ability description of 4 seconds. Updated the homing on Rapier's flourish and finish attacks to match more closely to the ability's hit areas. For Spear, fix an issue where javelin throws were triggering the incorrect impact effects against various material types. Remove pushback from base Spear Cyclone ability functionality. Grit is now on Spear Cyclone by default and is no longer tied to the Strong Momentum upgrade. The Strong Momentum upgrade now has the pushback as an optional upgrade for Spear Cyclone. Sword and Shield, they fix an issue where defensive formation wouldn't always trigger if you blocked immediately after dodging. Fix an issue where sword heavy attacks were not obtaining grit from the 300 strength attribute bonus throughout the duration of the attack, and updated Defiant Stance ability description to match the correct taunt duration of 8 seconds. Void Gauntlet, fix an issue where the empowering proximity passive was not being gained and if an ability was triggered too quickly after swapping weapons. Reduce Oblivion's empower from 20% down to 15%, that kind of sucks. And reduced light attack damage of Void Blade from 100% to 90% and heavy attack damage from 150 down to 140. World AI, so they fixed a bug where Spew Spitter and potentially other AI characters could spawn inside walls. Fixed a rare issue that could cause the Spriggan to become unresponsive. Fixed an issue causing Corrupted Hounds to not play their stun animation. Fixed an issue causing Dryad Shaman's Rolling Vine spell not to fully reach the player. Reduce pushback and reaction on Dryad Shaman's overhead staff swipe and projectile attacks. Fix an issue causing Shackled Wraith's stun status effect to not be removed after subsequent hits. Fix an issue causing Varangian Knight enemies to not properly play directional death animations. Fix the attack types of 2 grenades thrown by the Undead Grenadier, changing them from light and heavy to magic, allowing Rhyme to proc. Updated damage type of the Disease Grenade from Strike to Nature, reduced damage area for Corruption Tendril's ranged burrow attack and added a warning telegraph for the incoming damage. Increase the buffer distance for AI to target players outside of the AI's navigable areas, therefore allowing the AI to more reliably attack players on edges and corners of terrain. Navigable doesn't really sound right, so I'm going with navigable. Just saying. Game modes. So for War, Fort Gates now upgrade outside of wars. Fix bug with siege supply generators not working properly in wars and invasions. Fix an issue where a company would be able to gain influence during the influence race and then be eligible to declare war after any subsequent influence race if they did not gain any more influence in the meantime. Companies can only declare war if your company met the influence threshold during the current race and it meets the other eligibility criteria. Invasions, fix an issue causing invasion brutes to stutter when attacking the invasion claim. Fix an issue where boss AI would sometimes have their animation stuck when attacking the invasion claim. And fix an issue causing the priest mini-boss to sometimes spawn facing sideways. Outpost Rush, so they changed the mesh on the protection ward. The ward should now be much more difficult to hit from outside of the fort walls. Fixed a bug where gate structures could have separated interact options when destroyed in the middle of an upgrade. Fixed a bug where protection wards would prevent a capture point's capture percentage and would return back to 0 when built in the middle of a capture. Increase the width of most fort stairs in forts and fix collision issues on ramparts. Forts should now be smoother to navigate. Reduce the rate at which repeater turrets accumulate heat. Reduce the time players must wait prior to repeater turrets losing heat by 10%. And sped up the building time of buildables. Minimum build time is now 4 seconds across the board, with the exception of Azoth's contribution to the corruption portal, which remains at 10 seconds. PvP arena. We've reworked how consumables work in 3v3 arenas. So instead of granting players consumables upon joining each match, players are now able to bring their own consumables. These consumables are not consumed on use, so players are able to use them as they wish without worrying about the cost associated with the consumable. This will allow highly requested items like split attribute food to be used in 3v3 arenas. For example, if I enter the arena with 3 health potions and my dexterity attribute food, consuming these items in the arena will grant me their respective benefits without taking them out of my inventory. There will not be a limit to how many consumables you can use or how many types of consumables you can use, provided that you are in the PvP arena. As long as you have that type of consumable, you will be able to use it as many times as you want, provided the cooldown is up. So invites are now sent by the game mode instead of a blank player. Passive ability perks are now no longer applied for any players who has died in an arena match and in the spectator area. Those perks will start working against once the round is over and they respawn for the next round. Bag perks will now continue to be functional when watching the remainder of a round from the spectator box, so players are not temporarily encumbered if their item load exceeds their non-perked maximum carry weight. Status effects applied by consumables within the open world are now saved when entering the arena and restored upon exiting. However, while in the arena match, players won't receive the benefits of these status effects. Fix an issue where players would not receive the special arena-only consumables if their inventory had too many items. Made it so players cannot use any abilities that result in extra survivability to reduce damage from the arena Ring of Fire. Fix an issue where moving to spectator box message displayed for the last player killed on a team in PvP arenas. Fix an issue where PvP arena death notifications didn't state that the Ring of Fire killed the player. And lastly, fix various messages that incorrectly refer to wars when trying to leave PvP arenas. So I'm going to go ahead and stop right there, and I'm going to do a part 2 so that, if you guys, I don't know, just to break it up, this is a super long list of changes. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it off right here, and then part 2 is going to start at Expedition. So make sure you guys click on that video, part 2, at the end of this video if you want to keep going. Thanks for watching, guys, and all this information, like I said, the link for all this information right here, what I'm reading, is going to be in the description of the video. So make sure to check it out. And remember, we're going to start part 2. Just click on it at the end of this video. Thanks, guys.